Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's get to 200,000. We are so close. Hit that subscribe button before we begin. But it's important to ask the question as we get closer to election day and when you have a lot of polling that's kind of all over the place, which pollster is the most accurate pollster? Doesn't mean they're going to be the most accurate pollster this time, but it kind of shows that maybe there's something that, they will have in their poll that will guide us in the right direction. And the answer is not ABC News, the New York Times. It's not polls out of Quinnipiac, of course, or even a pollster like Emerson. It's actually this pollster called Atlas Intel. It's not on Real Clear Politics, but it is on 538. And they just dropped their latest poll. But before we get to the actual results, it's important to note that they were off by 0.2% in 2020. They overestimated Biden. And then they overestimated Republicans by just 0.3% in 2022. So they just nailed the margin down nearly to completion both cycles. And in terms of what they're showing this cycle, well, get ready for it. Donald Trump, he leads. Donald Trump leads by 3 percentage points over Kamala Harris, 2.9%. This is not a drill. This contradicts a lot of polls that we've seen. This is all post-debate as well. And even though the poll does show that the viewers of the debate believe that Harris won by, an 8 or 9 point margin, doesn't quite matter. Donald Trump is in the lead. Donald Trump at 51 virtually, Harris at 48. We're going to dive into this a little bit further, but I have to tell you guys about shop.redeaglepolitics.com because the 2024 election drop is here. New merch today. We saw the debate memes. The memes are flowing. We got the Make Cats Safe Again shirt. We've got the Make Cats Safe Again mug if you guys would like. And obviously we're doing this special buy one, get one 20% off all t-shirts, tank tops, and mugs. But also this is my favorite mug. If you've seen the past couple videos, I've talked about it. You got the American flag Trump bullet design on the front of it, and you have the inspirational quote on the back of it. It's my favorite mug. I've had it for about 3 days. I've been drinking out of it quite often. It's epic. I recommend you guys check it out at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. The link is in the description and pinned comment down below. So Atlas Intel, the most accurate pollster of 2020 and the most accurate pollster of 2022. And they're not talked about a lot. They don't poll very often, but when they do poll, typically they're accurate. And this is not their final poll, and it is an outlier. That doesn't mean it can't come true, but it is an outlier. And I do believe that the one thing that's remained the same is this race has not changed very much since July. And obviously Harris has coalesced a lot of the support that Joe Biden did not exactly have at the time, whether you want to say it's response bias or whatever or not. But you did see a big response bias in favor of Harris during the honeymoon bump. I don't think she really, gained a lot of support, and then Trump lost a lot of support, and then Trump's getting back the support. Polling shifts are mostly noise. We're in a very polarized environment. I said back in the summer of 2020, I said this election's going to be close, and Biden's going to win the popular vote by around 4. And that's exactly what happened. In 2016, didn't have my channel at the time, I thought Hillary would win the popular vote by 1 to 2, and I thought Trump would win in the Electoral College, and that's like exactly what happened. She won it by 2. In 2022, I said Republicans probably win the popular vote by 3 to 4 points, and they won it by 2.8, but, their distribution of the wave was very inefficient, but the national vote was accurate, and what you're seeing here is this election. I don't exactly know where it's at. I think it's probably closer to like right now, 47 to 48 to 47 to 48. It's close nationally. I even say Harris probably, you could say, might win the popular vote. There's just so much conflicting data. But again, the poll showing that there's not much of a shift, that's very interesting because maybe it's not prone to this response bias that we've seen. And you have the New York Times poll that they will talk about being very high quality. They show Donald Trump is currently in the lead in the popular vote by a similar margin, a little bit under 2 points. So, I mean, the race is not moving a whole lot from what I understand. But you have a lot of liberal pollsters. They're not dropping their polls in a lot of these key swing states. I don't know if Donald Trump's going to win the popular vote, but the fact that it's close is what matters, because if it's anything under Harris plus like 3, Trump's probably going to win. He's probably going to win in the Electoral College, and Democrats are in a tough bind. That's why they're trying to like go to the rural Midwest and go to like these establishments where liberals run and try to peel off support in these little counties. And it's like they're not really vibing with the Harris campaign. They're really not. If they voted for Trump twice, you're not going to peel them off. You're not. Donald Trump is got that base that's arguably more fired up than ever. And Kamala Harris, I mean, she's gotten an enthusiasm bump. Her supporters really want to talk to pollsters, but some pollsters that have been accurate, even at times when, like 2020, the polls were not accurate, Atlas Intel was. 2022, Atlas Intel, they did not forecast like a R+6 wave nationally or anything like that. They had it at R+3.1. It was R+2.8. Therefore, it ended up being a relatively accurate pollster, but even then there were more undecideds then in that poll than what we're seeing right here and than what we saw in 2020. So the fact that Donald Trump currently leads by 2.9%, that is just astounding, and you could say it's an outlier, and it is an outlier whether it's right or wrong, but still, you look into the poll, Donald Trump and Harris both have gained. Donald Trump has benefited more from the dropout of RFK Jr., as this poll does not include him. Inflation, the economy, and immigration. Those are the top 3 issues. Only 27% said that the challenges to reproductive rights is a top issue. A lot of those voters are going to vote Democrat regardless, would have voted Democrat even if Roe v. Wade was not overturned. You have safeguarding democracy. That could mean a lot of things to a lot of people as well. Then healthcare is down there at 12.5%. So obviously, these numbers don't add up to 100% of the pie, but I think that they add up to, if you crunch the numbers, it should be somewhere around 200%, which proves that, when you dive into the data, they ask people, what are your top 2 or top 3 issues facing the country? And most people are saying immigration and the economy. 2 things that Donald Trump, he stole the show at the debate on both. He really won the economy section. When you look at the pollsters that use the dials of independents, they were tracking more positively when Trump was speaking at times about the economy than Republicans were tracking. As for immigration, he threw everyone for a loop with the cats and dogs line, which again, people will say is completely fabricated, even though today there was something that came out of Dayton, Ohio, where there was a video from about a year ago that kind of might lend some sort of credence to that fact. But either way, the main point is that there's a problem with immigration. There's a problem with a migrant crisis. You have all these people pouring into these towns. It's not just in South Texas or Arizona. It's obviously an important issue there, but it's everywhere in the country. It's happening as far north as Maine. It's happening in Michigan. It's happening in Ohio. Certain parts of Pennsylvania. New York City is getting hit very hard. And the American people, they've kind of had enough of it. And you can kind of see what's going on here in terms of the issues and how they view the issue importance here. And obviously, the polls are showing that Kamala Harris did not win the debate decisively, but they do show that she won it. But again, you have a lot of Republicans who watched the debate as well, who happen to believe that Kamala Harris won the debate. Some of my audience believes that. I tell them to go rewatch it. I feel like Republicans watching it are more cynical, whereas Democrats are like, oh, anything Trump says is wrong. Obviously, they couldn't sweep it up for Biden because Biden just completely had some sort of medical incident, a mental incident as well on that debate stage where they just couldn't defend him. But either way, he's out of the way now. Kamala Harris is the nominee. And in the most accurate poll of the 2020 and 2022 elections, Kamala Harris is not winning. And you talk about the margin of error, 2% margin of error. So Trump's lead is outside the margin of error. So either way, this poll is completely just dropping the ball. The New York Times most recent poll is completely just out of whack, where Donald Trump has a very clear shot at winning the popular vote this election cycle. Now, I'm not too concerned with the popular vote because it doesn't matter who wins it. You'd like to win it. It's nice to have a mandate. I tell people, regardless of whatever state you live in, get out and vote. I don't care if it's California, New York, Texas, Wyoming. It doesn't matter. Get out and vote. But when you look at the, electoral college, that's really what counts. And in a lot of the swing state polls, we haven't seen a lot of them in Pennsylvania. We were told by some election mafia people, oh, they're going to get in the field, and then it's weeks later, they don't release anything. I wonder why they didn't release anything, because a lot of these outlets that, they call high-quality pollsters, they're not actually high quality. And if you look at the track record that they had back in 2020, it was a disaster. Now, 2022, they did benefit because you had a much less working class electorate that showed up for the midterms. A lot of Trump-specific voters did not show up. But if you talk about the 2020 Real Clear Politics averages without the zone flutter polls, as they like to put it, you look at Arizona, overestimated Biden by around 3. Iowa, it was by 9. Michigan, it was by 5. North Carolina by 4. Ohio by 9. Pennsylvania by 4. Texas by 4. Wisconsin by 9 points. It's like an average error of 5 points in all these swing states. And the main takeaway is that the polls that they are putting out from some of these firms that are factored into that, they're also showing Donald Trump either running even in these swing states or sweeping the board with them. And that's a major concern that Harris has to deal with, because you see these national polls with these, online, you have to sign up to take the poll panels like Ipsos, and they're showing, oh, Harris is up by 5. Yeah, those could be very wrong. Morning Compost was wrong by 8 points in the 2022 midterms, and they're showing Harris up by 5. But if you look at the Atlas poll that we see here out of Atlas Intel, Donald Trump leading nationally by 3% outside the margin of error. This was conducted entirely after the debate. You think you would get a response bias based on how the media framed the debate, and I think we've seen that in some of these other polls. You didn't quite see that in this poll. Maybe it's because they had a big enough sample to kind of weigh properly. And you're seeing this right here. Most accurate pollster, Trump up 3. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I tell people the polls are noise. We need to get people out and voting. We're going to be doing a whole video on how we, in terms of this channel, we're going to get the entire fan base out there as much as possible in order to work the ground game. A little bit goes a very long way. It's so true, and we got to get it done. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.